How modern thinking infects every aspect of our life. In the modern world, there's this idea of gradual change. And gradual change is best shown in the example of evolution. And nowadays, many people draw parallels of human evolution, or the theory of human evolution, or animal evolution, to how societies and how civilization evolves over time. And while evolution within society is apparent, and no one can deny that it in fact does exist, if we look at the changes from 100 years ago to the society that we have today, we can see that there are many incremental and gradual changes that occur within a society that lead to large and big changes that we can see on a national and global scale. However, what this theory of gradualism and how this modern philosophy and approach to everything in our life is flawed is that it does not take into account the monumental changes that can happen within a society, the catastrophes or societal collapses, the fundamental flaws within a society that can lead to utter and total collapse. It also disregards the importance of tradition and how tradition is used to pass down knowledge, because that knowledge was thought of as important and worthy of being passed down. Today, we see gradual changes not in such a way that the knowledge of our ancestors is something to be treasured and passed down in its original form, but rather that they are just a stepping stone to the new heights that we will reach and that our children and those that come after us will reach. One example of this is the theory of technological advance. Oftentimes we kind of snicker when we think about our parents, or possibly if you're a millennial like me and were born in the 80s, we can remember a time where there weren't smartphones. We can remember a time when the flip phone was the big technological advancement, followed by the BlackBerry, and then finally the iPhone, which now everyone is glued to. Now, this is seen as this hallmark of human advancement in today's society. The fact that we have information, the ability to have information at our fingertips, and the ability to search all of our whims, to go shopping, to find any place in the world on a map, to use GPS, to contact almost anyone in the world, is seen as the pinnacle of human achievement. There are traditions and skills being lost today that would have been standard and almost commonplace knowledge 50 years ago, 100 years ago. Now, some would argue that those skills have become obsolete due to the society that we have and all the amenities and products and services at our fingertips. I would argue, though, that we have become dependent on the advancements of a small percentage of people. And just because we take advantage of those advancements and we take advantage of those advancements, we are not the creators of them. You know, many of us drive cars. Now, how many of your close friends know how to fix and work on a car? How many of them know how to rebuild a car? Sure, there's a mechanic shop that you can take it to, but the fact that you drive a car shows nothing of your advancement as part of this civilization. Maybe you're a marketing expert, or you work in some other narrow specialized field. Well, you may have a skill set that is very well equipped to work in that environment, but your skills on a whole, when compared to people of 100 years ago are probably nowhere near where their skills were. Now, oftentimes we poke fun of the older crowd and watch them struggle using technology, and this gives younger people great joy, because we feel like, oh, the older generation must be lacking in this ability to understand technology, and we as younger people automatically are more advanced because we know how to operate these tablets and phones. I would argue, number one, that probably isn't as true as most of us would like to think it. Sure, there's some elderly people that have a hard time using new phones, new smartphones, tablets. Just from anecdotal experience, my parents have always been on the cutting edge of technology. My parents taught themselves programming at a considerably older age and never had any kind of issues in using technology. And again, it's worth noting that technology in the form of an iPhone or an iPad, in terms of their user interface, is actually geared toward the lowest common denominator. So the fact that a child can use an iPhone does not say so much about the child's intelligence. Rather, it says more about the user interface. It says more about the user interface's ease of use or its usability. Also, when we look at the amount of skill it takes to actually, use basic programs, I'm not talking about high-level, drafting programs or 3D modeling or coding, but if we're just looking at dexterity, the dexterity needed to operate a phone is much less than is needed to, say, write in very neat cursive, do calligraphy, do drawing, or any other type of skill that requires fine motor skills.